Broads Media.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I have not felt feelings like this in forever. And I didn't even know if I'd ever feel them this year. And boy, is this something to build off of. What? That second half will be referenced for the entire 2024 campaign from me. This is where the season changed. This is where they got their swagger back. This is where they found their identity. This game was outrageous. Jalen Hurts was a star today. He was so phenomenal. That throw to Devontae Smith. Are you sick in the head? What? AJ and Saquon have been cooking. You finally find a way to get Devontae rolling, and wow, the offense is what I thought it would be. Look, I've been miserable. I've been a prick. There's no denying it. These 7 weeks prior to Cincinnati, it's been hell for me. Why? Because what I saw in the second half is what I thought was capable. That's the offense that's unbeatable. That's the offense that's electric. That's the offense that changes who you are as a dominant team. And we got it. That's the standard. That's what I've been looking for. And I finally got it. I can't believe it. I got it. The second half is the blueprint. You got turnovers. Darius Slay leaves the game because he gets banged up. Here's Isaiah Rodgers with the pass breakup right to CJ Gardner-Johnson's hands. Great. My favorite, though, there was the fumble, of course, which was late in the game, was already wrapped up anyway, but let's just tack on more turnovers, please. Here's my favorite, though. When I tell you my body did things, when BG got the 3rd and 1 stop, and then wait for it, it fucking multiplied and did it again times 8,000 when Coop got his stop on 4th and 1. Yo, that kid's a rookie. Come on now. You're damn right they're back. This is it. This is it. This is the team that I expected them to be. I was getting ripped because right at the end of the first half, I tweeted something out. With about 20 seconds to go in the first half, they have yet to punch it in on a tush push. And I go, okay. Now, I get it. Cincinnati took a lot of time off the clock. I'm not dumb. I watched it. But another game where we're looking at a first half of 3 points. And even though the offense was driving late in the first half, there was an obvious, we're not going to snap the ball right before the 2-minute warning. Devontae Smith moves, and there's a false start. The play's not going to be ran. That's inexcusable. Tyler Steen gets a personal foul call. Now that moves everybody back. Now to Jalen Hurts and his greatness again. 3rd and 16. A.J. Brown finds a spot, finds the sticks. Bang! We're moving the chains. That's great. But the tush push was probably their only way of squeezing by some of these awkward spots. They're at the 6-yard line. They can't get anything going. Then they barely punch it in with the super zoom in. And I'm sorry. This is not passing the eye test for me. And I'm getting hit with all this. Well, they scored 2 times in 3 possessions. And I'm going, are you watching the game? Something's not right. And now I'm glad that the second half happened. Because if you look at the difference between that second half, the throws to Devontae, I mean, even in the fourth quarter, keep the chains moving, get things rolling, keeping Cincinnati off the field. Greatness. To start the second half, 70 yards, 8 plays. Jalen Hurts with his legs, with probably one of his better runs all year. All I wanted was this. You won't hear me, bitch, I promise. You ever get tired of me? If you ever get tired of me, just ask for this. Because I'll have a smile on my face all day. I never thought I'd be this happy this year. This is great. This is amazing. It's amazing. Credit Jalen. Credit the coaching staff. Thank you, Nick Sirianni. You do it in bizarre ways. You shave your head. You look like a crazy person. You yell at fans. Team's 3-0 since. You have the stupid flower speech. Team response. I don't know what to tell you. The eye test is something I use to monitor if my team has it. Something's brewing. Something's brewing. And big time. Okay? Big time. The defense has swag. The offense is starting to really form. Kellen Moore, amazing. Nick, you got them inspired. And Vic, we've seen this coming slowly but surely. There has been a big set of growth from the entire defensive core. And it didn't look pretty early, right? I mean, there were a lot of 3rd and longs, and you're really wondering, what are we doing here? Joe Burrow's dancing in the backfield. Josh Sweat is getting close. He's somehow escaping all the mayhem, and then he uses his legs to pick up a 3rd and long. You're talking 3rd and 20 plus, back-breaking style of 3rd downs. He's rolling to the right, buys enough time, finds an open receiver. Gesicki looks like he was, Rob Gronkowski in his prime. I thought he was going to be the death of you, but you settle in and you got stops when you needed to. Some of it was Cincinnati being stupid, but you got to pounce when coaches are stupid. I look at the coaching matchup every week. Is Nick Sirianni putting you in harm's way? That's a question I ask. This week, no. Zach Taylor? Yes. I'll tell you where I thought he really screwed up. There were 3 decisions. 2 of them were egregious. One of them was questionable. I don't think it was the worst decision in the world, but since it didn't work out, you can obviously at least debate it. So let's start with number 1. When the Bengals decided to kick a field goal, when the score was 7-3, they made it 10-3 to go back up a touchdown. Dude, I mean, the Eagles had no life. The Eagles were getting ran into the ground. That's a time where you punch someone in the jaw. I mean, you hit them hard. Go up 14-3, and the Eagles feel significantly different at that time. Still plenty of game left. Maybe the Eagles still have their surge, but I thought you let the Eagles off the hook because I remember as soon as they kicked the field goal, I go, I'll take it. Could be a lot worse. Let's go back. Let's go back to the offense. Let's see what we can do here. You almost let the Eagles off. So that one was stupid. And then going for it on 4th and 1, end of the third quarter, you were essentially at your own 40, 38, 39, 40-yard line, if I remember correctly, and you're going for it there. That was a panic move. That was an emotional decision. That's what you do when you're playing Madden and you're getting mad and you start to make irrational decisions because you're losing and you're seeing the game slip away from you. You got to punt the football, dude. You got to punt the football. Have some trust in your defense. Try and get a stop with the Eagles offense, even though it's very difficult to do when they're rolling on all cylinders here and they're really flying. But you can't go for it on your own side of the field like that irrationally. There's a whole quarter left of football. So I thought those were 2 egregious ones. Here's the questionable one. Missing the 54-yarder. Now remember, it set up field position for the Eagles to go down before half was over to score a touchdown, and the Eagles were getting the ball to start the second half as well. So they're going for the double dip, which they executed the double dip A 54-yarder, though, in today's NFL is a very reasonable make. So that's why I'm saying it's not the dumbest thing ever. But going back to eye test and feel of the drive didn't scream, we got to get points on this one. It screamed, we're trying to squeeze out points in a drive that didn't necessarily scream definite points. Like, maybe we should play the long game here. Not every decision to punt it equals you're soft. Sometimes there's people out there that feel it's just that simple. That if you punt instead of a 55, a 56, you're automatically a fraud. No. I think you should have punted there. And I think you should have went for it when you kicked the field goal. It's all circumstance. That's how Zach Taylor elected to do it. And here we are. You got to bounce, though. Teams are going to make 50-50 decisions. If they don't execute, what are you going to do about it? You know what the Eagles did about it? They went the other way and punched it in before the half to make this puppy tied. And then they go up 17-10 as they march downfield for 80 yards. So really impressive stuff, man. It's almost hard to even fathom. I'm not even going to lie to you. They look like a real football team. They look like a team that's getting back to the normal self. And they're doing this extremely hurt. Lane gets a little banged up. You got Fred Johnson. Mekhi Becton's not playing. Tyler Steen had a couple of rough penalties. You're dealing with Darius Slay going down, who made a huge stop in the red zone on the rookie receiver. Them got him back on a nice ball later on in the game to help flip the field. It was an interesting matchup, and I figured not having T. Higgins was going to hurt them massively. The Bengals have been struggling, okay? They've been underachieving. They literally beat Cleveland, the Giants, same thing as us, the Panthers. And when you look at some of those wins over the last few weeks, as they won 3 of the last 4 prior to this game, of course, and the one loss was an overtime loss to the Baltimore Ravens, so that's a respectful effort. But T. Higgins is coming out of the game with being the receiving leader in those games. Like, it's a big deal when you're beating the Browns, even though they're not very good, and the guy who helps out Jamar Chase and really opens up this offense is gone. But once again, what the Eagles were dealing with a ton of banged up guys on your own line. I don't want to hear it, okay? I don't want to hear it for a second. But you know what I don't find ironic about this whole thing? You know where this thing really switched? BG. The savvy vet, the guy who's been around forever, the dude who's been making plays since I was in diapers. Brandon Graham on the 3rd down. It wasn't even close. My man had the answer ready. My man knew exactly what was going down and said, let's meet, baby. You want to meet in the middle? I'll meet you in the middle. Let's fucking go. And that set the tone. Team fed off that. And, I mean, this game, they ran away with it. And it was still a game. It was still a game. But the way they pursued in the second half, wow, their intensity was 9 times the Bengals, who were looking to, in a way, somewhat get their season back on track. I mean, they're looking to do what the Eagles did today. They're looking for some motivation. They're looking for something to get the fans back on board so they go, oh, yeah, this is the team we all remember. And the reason why I feel so confident about this is I've been lucky. People my age have been lucky. The Eagles have been a great franchise for essentially our whole lives. We know what the game feels like. There's always the game. Thursday night against Carolina. The game. Jordan Howard, the Packers, like, there's a game. Fellas, this is the game. And it goes both ways. The game last year, San Francisco. What happened after that? Dallas. The game. The game that broke you. So there are other ways where the game impacts a squad. The foundation broke. They took your soul. Well, this was a game that got the Eagles trending in the direction that they needed to. And as great as I feel, we got to make sure that the Eagles marinate in this the right way. Can't start smelling yourself. Can't get out of character. We got to push the right buttons and make sure we're humble about this, but also arrogant and cocky. You got to find the good mix. And there's a specific leader in this room that deserves the world of praise. And that's Saquon Barkley. I'm not talking for a second about what he does in between the hashes. This guy is so valuable. This guy is so important. The same year Jason Kelce hangs him up, the same year Fletcher Cox says goodbye, this guy walks through the room. Don't doubt Howie Roseman for a second, where it wasn't just strictly about who he can be in between your linemen, okay? Hitting certain gaps, hitting the breakaway speed and all the 100-yard games. Definitely played a monster role, but there was another element to Saquon Barkley. Jason Kelce helped Nick Sirianni at times. I'm not saying anything that hasn't been said publicly by Jason Kelce himself. I had to tone him down. It's getting a little too wild. Getting a little too high up there with the emotions. I had to tone him down. There's no doubt about it that Saquon's presence, just his presence, forget him even saying anything, just his body being there, it feeds something to this locker room. It's incredible. And Jalen's amazing. Jalen played amazing. Once in a while, we got those throws. Once in a while, throughout the first 7 weeks. A.J. Brown to start the second half against Green Bay in Brazil. Saquon Barkley in the back of the end zone. You got it periodically. This was a full second half domination. And it wasn't like the first half was bad. It was just clunky. The way I described the offense, and I'll say this. I was on the radio Saturday afternoon, and the story I wanted to talk about was, maybe story's the wrong word, but the topic I was talking about was the Eagles' identity. Through 7 weeks, we should have knowledge of the team's identity. And I was asking callers, how would you describe this team? What would you say their brand of football is? And we were getting all sorts of answers. And mine was, offensively speaking, for the offense, it was just clunky. So it doesn't mean every possession's bad. It doesn't mean that every throw is awful. It doesn't mean that their drive where they kick a field goal is traumatic. Like, no, come on. But to say that what you saw throughout 7 weeks wasn't clunky is crazy. You saw it sprinkled in. You saw the greatness sprinkled in, but it was a lot of clunkiness. You got your ass saved because your superstars were just better, and that helped you escape. I want to see a team that's flat out dominant that you can't catch. And we're trending that way. We're trending that way. Now, speaking of things that just kick ass, garage beer, kidding me? I went to that Jason Kelce event at Chicky and Pete's in South Philly about a week ago. They did the Jason Kelce costume party. Dude, the amount of garage beer that I demolished, the amount of garage beer that everybody demolished around me, there's a reason why. It correlates with the dominance we just saw on the field. That second half is garage beer. 0% IPA, 100% light beer, 1,000% quality. drinkgaragebeer.com. The information is down below in the description. Before we take your phone calls, let me tell you, if you are new to the channel, hello, welcome on in. I hope you're enjoying your time. You can, of course, hit the subscribe button and hit the thumbs up button as well. I greatly appreciate all of your support. And if you're looking for more Broads Media content, you can join the memberships here on YouTube for $4.99 a month, and you will get access to Coffee with Broads live streams twice a week. That's 8 times a month, and you get access to our Discord channel as well. So it's a lot of fun. And lastly, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. If you want to take me on the road with you, of course, you can do that as well by searching Sports Talk with Broads into the search bar. And if you subscribe over there and leave a 5-star rating and a review, that will truly help out the algorithm. So thank you all so much. Okay. With that, let's go to Anytime Hotline calls and start things off with our guy, Sean.
No, that's a solid win today. A team they never beat on the road. You know, a team that was also desperate for a W. That's a nice performance from the Eagles. And, I mean, to me, that may have been the most complete game that Jalen Hurts has played in years. Didn't make a lot of bad decisions with the football, didn't force the football, hasn't turned the football over in 3 weeks, which has led to 3 victories. My only regret, sadly, was that Will Shipley got screwed out of a touchdown. That kid ran that ball like a rocket into the end zone, an unfortunate holding call. But a nice win for Philly. You got to keep it going against Jacksonville next week. No excuse to lose that game at home in the debut of Kelly Green 2024. Maybe you get some help from the 49ers and the Bears today as far as in division. And what the hell, I'll even throw in a Let's Go Flyers, Let's Go Colasol tonight. What the heck? But a nice win for the Birds.
Beautiful win for the Birds. I did not expect any sort of Flyers reference after that one, but that's what happens. When the Eagles win, it's a great week when they play like this. You know, not always, because, you know, as we've seen, they've won some games that have made us very angry. But when they put it together, come on, you high-five the person next to you when you're at Lowe's. You hold the door open for the family of 5 at Wawa, as if you wouldn't if they lost. I mean, come on, I'm still going to open the door. But come on, everybody's in a happy mood. And there was one bad throw to Kenny Gainwell. That should have been a pick, maybe even a pick 6. But we'll forget about that. Cooper DeJean probably could have had a pick as well. And if you come down with that, then maybe the Bengals offense is a little different too at the end of the day. But look, stuff's going to happen. Stuff's going to happen. You're never going to play a perfect game of football, but I don't demand perfection. I just demand the standard. And the standard is Jalen Hurts throwing that ball to Devontae Smith. Man, you could see it in his eyes. I thought he made great decisions running the football. He actually had some jump in his step, too. The play where they scored on the touchdown right after half, that was prime Jalen Hurts with his legs. That's when this offense hums. He's got to be a threat. And he's got to be able to put the ball where the ball needs to go, which he did. And then you open up that element. So think about this. Lately, it's been Saquon and A.J. Brown running the show. What I saw this week was Jalen being more decisive on when he was going to take off. Now, whether that was game plan oriented, knowing that potentially they saw things in Cincinnati's defense that allowed for them to use that more as a weapon, we'll get into that. You got Devontae Smith active in the game plan. You had him taken off downfield and connecting, which puts a ton of pressure on the opposing team's D. And you worked in Jalen as a decisive runner. So 2 more layers to this offense. It was hard to be, in the ball game and be involved against the Eagles when it was the 2-man show. Just because of their raw natural ability and the talent to try and stay toe-to-toe with AJ and Saquon, it's nearly impossible. You add Devontae and Jalen into the mix, and this thing goes from 6 out of 10 to 9 out of 10. You're right about the matchup next week, though. I want to soak in this and enjoy it. Trust me. I'm not going to do the whole let's look ahead to next week already crap, because I used to sit in the disgust for 3 days before I would flip the page. This thing's going to be fun this week, and I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about this again. You know, I'm 25 minutes into this. I can't wait to do this again tomorrow night for my day after pod. That's how stoked I am. But you're right, though, that you can't overlook Jacksonville. My point is, don't let this thing be a slip up with Dougie P. But I'm starting to trust this team more. You hear that? Those are big words for me. I don't think we have to worry. Uh-oh. Let's go to the next call.
What's good, bro? It's missed. Let me tell you what's good, buddy. The Philadelphia Eagles. Fantastic win today. Fantastic. That is the best the offense has looked all year. You know, we saw improvements in the last couple of weeks. I said last week that it was a good win against the Giants. You saw positive things, but, you know, you had to consider it was the Giants, the dog shit New York Giants. And I'm not saying Cincinnati's out here blowing people away, but they're certainly a step up, especially in the offensive department. This defense is looking great. Fantastic steps forward, looking better every week. And, man, if this offense can pull it together, I liked a lot of the play calls. A little shaky early on, but keeping the run game dominant, even though, you know, you were having trouble getting long yards, just keep feeding Saquon the ball. And Jalen looking pretty good, protecting the ball, running when he should, not running in stupid positions, but running when he should, and getting the ball out there. Some fantastic balls to AJ, and, oh, man, that touchdown to Smith. We might be back, baby. We might be back. Go Birds.
I love it. I love it. Yes. Thank you for pointing out that another game and another no turnover effort by the quarterback. So let's run it right back to what we were just talking about. Before, it was the Saquon and AJ show. Now it's the Saquon and AJ show. Jalen using his legs, Devontae Smith getting into the action, and your quarterback is not putting the ball in harm's way as aggressively as he was doing to start the year, where every game he was throwing 2 interceptions, he was fumbling, he wasn't feeling the pocket. I don't know if it was the lack of preseason. I can't believe I'm saying that. What am I, 90 years old? I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just a couple of games early on where he wasn't used to the flow. He wasn't used to getting tackled. He wasn't used to getting hit. Although, hey, speaking of getting hit, there was definitely a helmet-to-helmet as he was going out of bounds. It wasn't late by any means, but there was a lower of the shoulder and the crown of the helmet right to the side of the head. That why he couldn't get his knot undone on his shoes. He had one Jordan 11, and then was the other a Jordan 4 cleat. He had 2 different cleats out there. Big Dom's on the sidelines. He's got a headset on. What's going on? What's Big Dom's input with the headset on? I want to know. See if I'm going to be like, yo, Nick, come on, man. I'm the mouthpiece for Howie. Come on, man. We're not doing that. Let's make it a slant AJ instead. You want to do quarterback draw? Stop it, Nick. What's he doing with the headset on? I'm dead serious. It's actually insane. It's insane. But yeah, seriously, no turnovers. That's how you win. And that was part of Jalen's game when he was at his peak, when he was in his prime. It is so painful when you put the other team in a position to only have to go 25 yards, 30 yards. You're maybe setting up the other team's offense in the red zone. I mean, you're screwed. And when you do it multiple times a game, you're double screwed. And the fact that instead of that happening, now you're punching it constantly in the end zone for 7 the other way. Now we're blowing teams out. And you're right, the Bengals aren't anything special. But this is where it needs to be less about just looking on paper, right? Same applies to how I felt after the first quarter. Well, they scored on 2 of their 3 drives. Well, one's a field goal. I'm not thrilled with field goals. And the other one, the tush push saved their life. And they had so many mental mistakes of flags and penalties and 2-minute offenses in the red zone. Like, that's just not an efficient offense. And I can't just look at it blindly and say, well, they scored 2 out of 3 possessions, therefore I'm happy. No. And when it comes to the Bengals, even if the Bengals aren't necessarily great, my takeaway won't be, it was only the Bengals. They were a struggling team heading into it. No. This was a damn good win that shows you more than just beating a team that was struggling to win in front of their home crowd, a team that hasn't been putting it together, a team that lost T. Higgins on practice Friday with a quad injury, and the second we saw that report get blasted all around social media, we go, hold on a second. Did a door possibly open here? That's game-changing level of injury, and you got to take advantage of that. That doesn't take anything away from the Eagles. But that's my point is, even through that context, when I watched this football game, I saw a team that took 75,000 strides in the right direction. Regardless on if they had an injured wide receiver, if they haven't put the pieces together yet, I don't care. How I feel after the game is a proud football fan of my team. We'll take one more.
Hey, bros. Dave. Look, am I a hater for still not being fully bought in after that win?
Wow.
Like, yeah, we had a pretty good day out there. I will say, Bengals probably did a lot to stop our run kind of in preparation for this game. So they did a good job on that. Barkley broke loose, but not really. So, that was all right. But in general, I'm just not convinced. Like, the Bengals are not a very good team. Everyone's always said that their offense is their main weapon. And while our defense did have a good day against them, like, the fact that our offense had a good day against the bad defense just leads back into I'm not sure I'm fully bought in. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that one.
Listen, Dave, appreciate the call. I don't know if today's the day for that. Now, I understand that it may not take 2 quarters of football to sway you all the way back in. I get it. Trust me. Trust me. I get it. But I don't know if you're giving them enough credit for what they did well. I'm not telling you got to go streaking down Broad Street pumped up for this one, even though I might. But yeah, I don't think it needs as down as you are type of feel either. Maybe it's somewhere in between. If you want to be, if you're not convinced yet, you got to be somewhere in between where you're feeling and somewhere in between the hype of their back. Maybe that was interesting. Maybe that's where you're at. Maybe you're taking baby steps. But I need I'm interested. That's what I need. If you're going to make it a slow burn, that I think is the respectful way to do it. Now, you asked, are you a hater? I wouldn't necessarily say a hater, but open up the heart. Because at the end of the day, as much as we've been negative and angry for 7 weeks and not believing, and justifiably so, when they do give us this game, I don't think it's crazy to accept this game with a little bit more of an open heart. We were only so mad because we figured on paper that they were capable of doing this, and they weren't. So when they do, we got to acknowledge that they did what we set out the standard to be. You know what I'm saying? But that's kind of my stance on it. All right, I love you guys. You know that. You guys are the greatest. Appreciate it. We'll be talking on the next one. Peace.